Something going on with your mic, Vic.
Okay, so is it better now? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect, perfect, great. So, thank you everyone for joining today. And today we'll be talking about mind and body, meditation, stress relief, and navigating life's shifts. So, I have gorgeous guests today, dear listeners. So, welcome to Healthy Babes, where we dive deep into the diverse topics with the experts through engaging live discussions. So, join us as we explore the new perspectives and the insights that inspire and inform. So, uh, quickly, I would love to introduce you all with our guests. So, starting with Bob Martin. So, welcome, Bob. His journey, like from criminal trial lawyer to mindfulness coordinator and author, is fascinating. So, uh, his unique blend of experiences promises to enrich our discussion today, for sure. So, quickly move to Kevin Palmieri. So, welcome, Kevin. So, his journey from personal struggles to impacting the lives globally through uh, his podcast and coaching is truly remarkable. So, we are eager to learn from his experiences. And with us today, Audrey is away. So, it's great pleasure to have you, Audrey. Her artistic endeavors and the transformative forces of self-love and the freedom are totally inspiring. So, we look forward to delving into your insights as well. So, quickly, welcome to the show, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely, great. So today we are talking about something great, which is harmonizing the mind and body. So for that, meditation, stress relief, life's changes. So I'll quickly start with Bob. Bob, if you can share like how your journey through various professions and spiritual practices has shaped your understanding of the mindfulness and the meditation.
So it's a fascinating article to think about the mind body connection. It's funny, I there's a little bit of lag in my sound. Is it okay for you guys?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
I'll just try. So so yeah, I was a lawyer in my during the cocaine the feedback. Let me just try not having. I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
is that better?
it's better. Yeah.
Can I can't hear now? I can't hear you at all. I'm so sorry.
And you can volume up your system. So I guess you go first.
Um, well, I'm just going to go ahead and speak and assume that you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Perfect.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Let me see if I can get my speakers settings here. Cam, high definition, audio, microphone, echo cancel. Oh, there. That's probably the problem. There we go. Let me see if that works better. Hello? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No issue. So okay. So you can hear us, Bob, right?
I can hear you. The problem is that I'm hearing myself about 2 seconds after I say something.
Okay.
Are you hearing
Um,
double?
I hear you fine.
No, are you hearing yourself double?
Yeah, my guess, Audrey, do you have echo cancellation turned on in the settings?
I know nothing about that.
So if you go
I am
to
not, no. I do not detect. I am
you what?
just be here and speak.
Yeah, but Bob is going to be unable to speak if your setting is not correct potentially.
I don't even know where to look for a second.
I could walk you through it if you'd like.
You can attempt to.
Do you see at the bottom of the screen where it says settings?
I have no idea what annoyance this is. Hold on, I have to get special glasses to even see.
Vic, I'll let you run this. I'm sorry if I'm not trying to.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I just use StreamYard a lot, so I know kind of the, But I want you to run it.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
So,
Okay, hold on, I'll get on these glasses and see if I can see what you're asking me to look at. And by the way, my voice is also coming out after I speak. It's like an echo.
so
These are horrible. Where do you want me to look?
At the very bottom, there should be a button that says settings.
Yep,
Then click audio.
I didn't click settings yet. Let's do it one step at a time. Okay. All right, I settings.
Yep. And then audio.
Okay,
And you let me know when you clicked audio.
I did.
And then the first checkbox should be echo cancellation.
I don't see that.
Under the.
Oh, yes, I see that. Here it is.
All right, give that a click.
It's already.
Vic, is yours clicked?
Yeah, it's mine. Mine is clicked. Yeah.
and
Mine
mine's
was
clicked.
automatically change it. So I guess if it's not coming, so you can I mean, plug out that earphone
All right, I
and volume up your system's volume. I guess it will be first.
So let me see. This is
Because
still
we can hear you properly. We can hear you properly, and I can see there is a lag
testing,
right
testing. 1, 2. I'm gonna go out and come back in on another browser. Okay.
now. Okay.
thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
I don't think it worked, but we tried.
Yeah.
So
No
let's
issues.
go forward.
Yeah. So I guess we shall continue, and once Bob join back, so then we'll come back to him. So okay, so same thing. Like I'll come to Kevin. So Kevin, like, what inspired you to delve into the holistic self improvement after experiencing the rock bottom in your mid 20s?
Yeah, I was somebody who I achieved external success and I had financial success and I had a sports car and my girlfriend was a model and I was in really good shape. But internally, I was miserable. I was unfulfilled. I was depressed. I was anxious. And it got to the point eventually where I was having suicidal ideations. And I realized, look, the mental health thing is something that I haven't put enough time into. And if I put a tenth of the amount of time that I put into my mental health that I did my physical, I would probably be a more well-rounded human being. So that was the thing that really launched me into holistic self-improvement and just learning about myself, self-awareness, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relationships. I want to be the best I can be at all the things I'm doing. And I want to be a great partner and a great business partner and overall a great man. And that's what I aspire to be.
That's really lovely. So we have Bob. So Bob, like I'll again come back to you. Like if you can share how your journey through the various professions and the spiritual practices has shaped your understanding of the mindfulness and the meditation.
Well, I would say that my path is very well. It's unique. There's not a whole lot of folks who started out being a prosecutor during the cocaine cowboy days. If you ever seen the movie Scarface, those were my people. and wound up hitting the mob up for a bunch of money and then going out and getting hired by them and the like. So the story itself is different, but how I came about to where I am today, I think, is much more common. And it's generally the same story that a lot of folks have, and that is that my life was going south. I was hanging out with a bunch of people that probably were not the best influence on me. My family was I wasn't paying enough attention to my children, to my wife, to my home life. Everything was about money. Everything was about hanging out with these folks and my arrogance and being cool. And I was really full of myself. And that is when I think we all have a hunger for wanting to find something that's going to give us a North Star that we can get our bearings. And I was fortunate that it turned out my therapist, who I was seeing, was the English language editor for a 72nd generation Taoist master from the Shaolin Temple. And I was hungry enough and I wanted to change enough so that I took to it, and I studied under Master Ni for 8 years, and that changed my life. And so, once you start down that path, it's like some things you just can't unsee. And once you see that there is a better way, a more efficient, a more effective way, a way to live life paddling downstream instead of always fighting to go upstream, then you just want to follow that path. And so one thing led to another, and eventually it led to my taking study at Berkeley, where they do a lot of research and science on the art and science of happiness, which involves a lot of mind-body connection stuff. So that helps. It really helps to understand the vagus nerve and how the brain works in terms of meditation, to be able to teach it to students who are sometimes skeptical. People are skeptical about, is this all going to be crystally and tinkly, tree hugging, But then when you say, well, wait a minute, science is backing this up, and people are more open to it.
Understood. Thanks for sharing this, Bob. So, also, we'll quickly go to Audrey. So, your art focuses on the frequency stones for grounding and raising the vibrations. That's really awesome. So, how did you discover this intersection of this art and the spiritual wellness?
Okay, so I'm different than these two guys. I am a born mystic intuitive. I have never only gone for money. That has never been my life's path. Okay? I knew when I was a kid, and I'm getting feedback, so I don't know if you're getting it, but I'm getting feedback, and I'm going to go forward anyway. I knew by the time I was 10 that if I didn't take care of thoughts and feelings, it affected my body. I got stomach aches if I didn't express certain feelings, including anger, in a positive way. And I had to learn how to do this, or I'd be sick. And because I'm an intuitive and I like to tell people, it's born into me. I've always known that I'm on the earth to make it through. Now I have frequency language, raise frequency. I didn't spell with that. I am a psychic. I am a healer. I have courses. I have all of that. And when I was painting, before I came to Costa Rica, where I am now, I was doing art. And I would start with an om as I meditate. I do breathing attunements, which is a quick way to shift your frequency. And they're gorgeous. When I came to Costa Rica, very hard to get canvases, super expensive. That was not my budget. They have rock, and I'm a true to the earth. I'm a long time vegetarian, over 50 years, and I've been mostly raw vegan for what, years, 5 years. So I started painting rocks. I met it first. I love color, and it's one of them. Can you see? This is from the ocean, and each side is different. And I meditate and pray, ask to be guided, and I would pick. And yes, they all have crystals on them. And I teach people how to program them. I am that person, okay? And now it's also time for me to be well connected financially. But I do this work, and it's part of who I am. And I keep learning. I keep evolving. I have a birthday around the corner, which is astounding to me, the numbers. I mean, I'm in my 8th decade and I'm healthy as could be. And it's my sister that needs it. So I'm doing what I can there. That's how I do it.
Understood. Understood. Thank you. Thank you so much. So,
Welcome.
yeah, and so Kevin, like you discussed, you have discussed that importance of this consistency and the mindset in the personal growth.
Hmm.
I also believe the same. So, what are some of the practical steps that, according to you, the listeners can take to cultivate a resilient mindset?
I am of the firm belief, and I never really thought this way, but the more you work on your mind, the less the external world really affects you. It's kind of the vessel, right? You become the vessel and the waves just kind of crash over you. So I think a lot of it starts with, I think, meditation and mindfulness just in general, whatever that looks like for you. I think that's the beautiful thing about meditation is it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific thing. It can be whatever the barrier to entry is for you. So I started doing 5-minute meditations I'd find on YouTube, and it was like, oh, cool. I feel better after I do this. Good enough. I'll start there. I think one of the most challenging things about being consistent is a lot of us want to meditate everything away the first time. So let me find this 5-hour meditation and I'll do 5 years of work in 5 hours. Unfortunately, just like you can't go to the gym one time and get 5 years of results. So that's why the consistency is so important, because very little actually happens when we do things one time if we don't do them the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And then one other thing, consistency lends to identity. So if you are the type of person that shows up consistently and learns, you probably identify as someone who is into self-improvement. If you are somebody who meditates often in journals and does that type of mindful practice, you probably identify as somebody who is mindful. So consistency lends itself to our identity, and our identity determines what behaviors we practice, what we don't, why we practice them, and why we don't. So yeah, consistency it's such an important thing, but I think people tend to think consistency is external. You consistently go do this thing. I think you can also consistently be something. And we are human beings, not necessarily human doers. So it goes both ways from my perspective.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, Kevin.
I appreciate that, Bob.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. My dad, who is one of the folks that's up on my heroes wall, he used to say, he was a businessman. We sold hot dogs and cotton candy on the beach in Queens. So that was
Oh
our
my
business.
goodness,
But what he had a little plaque in his office, and it said, "You take care of your business, and your business will take care of you." And so many folks, are all about the results, and they work hard to have some particular goal in mind. Whereas really, as you say, if you just take care of the internal world, the external world somehow takes care of itself. And the interesting that you say that consistency thing, because brain science is telling us now very interesting stuff. And neurons that fire together wire together, and they form neural pathways. And so every time you have a thought, there's a little electric charge that goes through a neuron, and it connects to another neuron, and then more and more neurons connect to each other, and the path that they go on becomes thicker and thicker. And here's the really interesting thing that I learned was that, just like the filament of a light bulb is very, very thin. And so when the electricity passes through it, there's a great deal of resistance. And so it gets hot and it glows, and that's what gives us the light and the heat. But if the electricity goes through a thicker cable, there's no resistance. It just flows through and there's no heating. Well, our neural pathways are the same. When they're very thin, they actually offer us a sense of resistance to the thinking. And the way that feels to us subjectively is, oh, that's hard for me to think about, or math isn't good for me, or that's just, I don't want to think about it. That's just, it feels like it's hard. It feels like it's difficult, and it feels like you don't want to do it. But as the neural pathway gets thicker and thicker, there's less resistance to it. And the way that we feel it as human beings is, oh, yeah, I like to do that. I like to paint my rocks. I like to do these things because there's no internal resistance in the brain to the thought pattern that's going through the neural pathways. So I think it's just kind of cool, that if you think about, that's hard for me to think about. It's kind of like going to the gym. Oh, that's hard for me to do those biceps. But if you do them enough, then it's easier to do the biceps. And then you start liking that you're doing the biceps and you look forward to doing the biceps. So the same thing works internally in the mind. When you build up those neural pathways, there's actually, oh, I like doing that. So it's really kind of cool that consistency, it can be translated into actually that you can use the mind to change the brain to make the mind work better for you, which is, it's cool. So thank you for bringing that up.
Well, thank you for expanding on it, Bob. Very well said.
Exactly. Thank you both of you for sharing this. This is very, very important. And so because this is one life which should definitely look into something which is very, very important and cultivate that resilient mindset. Definitely, I totally agree with you, Kevin and Bob. So coming back to Bob also, like, how has the meditation helped you navigate those stress and the challenges in the life throughout your career transitions?
Well, a lot of it has to do with, learning what meditation is and what it's not. Like Kevin said, a lot of people think that meditation's about quieting the mind or emptying the mind, and it's really not. It's really about watching the mind and really becoming more familiar with yourselves. But I suppose one of the biggest teachings that Master Nee taught me was that it's extremely difficult and very hard, and almost hard to the point of not even worth trying, to reduce your negative thoughts. That to say, I'm not going to think about, I'm not going to be judgmental. I'm not going to think about that. Or that committee that goes off in my head that says, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not bright enough, that wasn't a good thing to say. Those thoughts are very, very, very hard to stop. And most of the electrical activities in the right prefrontal cortex, and trying to reduce that activity is near impossible. But what you can do is you can build up the antidotes. So the antidote to greed and want and desire, I see it, I like it, I want more. If you cultivate generosity, you balance off the negativity. And so you reach a point of balance where your life is just happier. If you dislike things, I see it, I don't like it, get it away. I don't want to go old. I don't like that food. I don't like that person. I don't like. If you cultivate a sense of compassion and empathy and loving kindness, it acts as an antidote to the negative thoughts. And although you can't reduce the negative thoughts, you can build up the positive ones so that you have a place of balance. And that sense of balance is the sense of living a good life.
May I say something?
Sure.
No, when you're done. This is to Abigail.
Yeah, no, I'm done.
Okay. So I am one of the people that has followed the Heart Math Institute, HMI. And I'm sure you guys know, and you probably know this scientifically more than I do, because I don't do that, and I'm smart. I can do science. I'm this metaphysician more than a scientist person. There is brain in the heart, which is stronger and smarter than the brain in the head. And it's the brain and the heart, and just check up on the Math Institute, HMI, that will teach this. And when you really connect with the heart and align the heart and the brain, you have a different level of alignment. And I'm the Mr. Filler in terms of if somebody wants to change something, you don't push against something. Years ago, I did. Okay, not now. Now I create what it is, and I've been doing this for years, what it is I choose to live. And that is part of what it is. When I do breathing attunements, and I do a ton of them, and I do simple ones daily, okay? Your energy, my energy, any of our energy, our frequency, the way we are, raises. And when we're at that level, all this junk about the blah, blah, blah in the brain and the mind, that starts to go away. We can call that the stratospheric, call it whatever you want. There's all kinds of terms. And as we bring the more positive, high spiritual, not religion, I'm not talking religion, that's what we start to manifest. And this is actually very real. I am literally at the moment dealing with having my sister in a long-term care facility because of just horrible stuff and having to create the finances to get there. And for me to even be able to do that, because all I could do for a while was cry and go through it was like going through the lessons of grief, anger, blah, 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 blah. And so I am doing that. I created a GoFundMe. So now I'm also doing my life. So when we raise our frequency daily and are doing what we feel we're here to do, which can change and shift, and taking steps inside ourselves, what we eat, how we think, who we relate to, how we speak, catching ourselves. And I can use free talk when I get upset. So I get embarrassed because I know better, but come right out with me. And I just apologize, clear it up, and move forward. So I don't know that I anymore look to fight to change that. No. I now go for what it is. I've been doing this for a while, that I truly desire. I do things like Ho'oponopono. I do tapping. There's a lot of other things. And one grows and develops. I mean, when I first started to be a vegetarian, I was an ovo-lacto vegetarian, ate dairy and ate eggs. That was the start. It was a while ago. Now I'm also raw vegan. And I love it. And being in Costa Rica, where I can make chocolate from the pods, the cacao pods, and make raw vegan chocolate truffles that are delicious, and all this, we create our life. We create this planet. We create the vibration. And I'm so glad that science has sort of caught up with metaphysics. You can look at, what's his name? Nassim Haramein, Resonance, what's the name of it? ResonanceScience.org, and take his free course. And I did not like being called woo years ago. And all that so-called woo-woo is now being scientifically proven. Am I getting out of that? Mm-hmm. A lot.
Understood. Understood. So, thanks, Audrey, for sharing this. Yeah. Uh, moving back again to Bob. Like your book explores the teachings of Jesus in a broader uh, interfaith light. So, how do you integrate these teachings into your mindfulness practices?
Um, so a little story behind that, you know,
Okay.
my folks were non-theists.
Hmm.
My dad's was Hungarian royalty, and the Bolsheviks, they wiped out his family, so I had no ancestors on his side.
Okay.
My mom was Roma Gypsy, and everybody wiped them out. They came to the conclusion that they couldn't understand that there could be a God. So I grew up in a family where we just didn't, we didn't attend anything. We didn't identify as any kind of spiritual positioning. Then, in my 30s, I was introduced to Master Ni, and I took to Taoism because it's like like an owner's manual for living. Yes, it is about going downstream, but not going downstream mindlessly. You still have to watch out for the rocks and not running ashore and the branches, and you still have to steer the boat carefully, but it's a lot better than trying to paddle upstream. What Master Ni used to call it, and everybody loves it, is the idea of learning how to go with the flow. But going with the flow in a profound and wise way. So when I came to North Carolina, I actually ran into a little trouble with my mafia clients and had to move from Miami, and wound up in North Carolina. I married my wife, who is a Southern Baptist Bible literalist. She believes in the Bible literally. And she is a saint. She is the most wonderful human being that I've ever known. I love her dearly. And we joined and we supported each other in the things that we wanted to do to make the world a better place, much like Kevin does. And it was difficult for us to talk about our beliefs because, frankly, the idea of Noah's Ark and the Garden of Eden was more Disney to me than it was anything else. And my stuff to her was just weird, just plain old weird. I was like kind of way out there, and all of her family, was warning her that she was going to be yoked to a heathen, and like, so she would go off to church and come back, and we would talk about the lesson and the sermon that you listened to. And when I heard it, I would think, wow, that's really very similar to chapter 32 of the Tao Te Ching, of Lao Tzu's writing. And so I started looking those things up. And then I started saying, well, what does the Bible say about this? And what does the Bible say about that? So piece by piece, I started looking things up in the Bible. And I found that the more I looked, the more these things were the same. And it really kind of blew me away, how absolutely similar it was. So I started seeing, is it possible for me to take some of the writings, these Confucius-like pithy little couplets that how the Chinese write, and reimagining them using Christian and biblical stories. And as I did it, she got it. It wasn't weird to her anymore. And we had these wonderful, deep conversations about our belief systems. So eventually, I was able to do all 81 chapters, and it was published. And so, it really leaves me and the folks that have purchased the book and have written me, it leaves all of us with this sense that that truth is truth, kindness is kindness, whether it's in India or whether it's in Japan or whether it's in Nigeria. Kindness is kindness, and that opens up a wonderful conversation. Kevin, I would love to hear how your spirituality relates to your physical, the physical work that you've done in the comparison between, strengthening the body and strengthening the mind.
I appreciate the opportunity. I'm a very simple creature. I'm sure you probably have picked up on that by now. I'm a very simple man. For me, I was very much the type of person who, kind of leaning on what you said, Audrey, I thought a lot of the energy stuff was woo woo. Like, I don't know. I don't know about all that stuff. But as I continued doing inner work, stuff that never really made sense logically started to make a little bit more sense. And then I realized that I'm pretty intuitive. I just never knew it. I'm pretty good at reading energy. I just never knew it. It's going back to the gym analogy, Bob. I think a lot of us have muscles that we just don't flex. And then when we start to flex those muscles, we start to see that it does a certain thing. So I would say I'm a universe, energy, frequency. I don't necessarily subscribe to any religion, but I love the fact that everybody has the thing that they can look to and allows them to be led and feel led and supported. But I think I don't know. I was somebody that always worked very hard on the external. So it makes sense that I was hard-headed and physically strong and physically capable. But internally, not to beat myself up, I was kind of weak. It didn't take a lot to set me off and throw off my day completely. One message from someone might take me off the rails, and that would take my entire day away. But as we worked more on understanding where those triggers came from, understanding where those traumas originated, a lot of things have really, really helped. So I think some people are really good in the external world and they're achievers and accomplishers and they do everything they set their minds out to. And that's what I wanted to be when I started this. Now I want to be both. I call it juggling more than balanced, because I think one scarf is always falling faster than the other one is going up. So I aspire to be very well-rounded. I want to be externally very, very, very impactful and very, very, very successful. And I want to go out and get it. I'm a hunter. I want to go out and get it. But I also want to make sure that I am in the energy of receiving. I had a mentor one time, Audrey and Bob and Vic, this will resonate, I'm sure.
Yeah.
This mentor they Venmo'd me $100. So they sent me $100. And they said, the only reason I'm sending this to you is because I know you're not open to receiving yet. And I said, ooh, what a powerful lesson from a mentor. And then I took that $100 and I went and bought tacos for myself and my friends. So I received it and then I spent it. So that's kind of been a piece of, I guess, a piece of the journey for me, from very physical to trying to lean more into the spiritual realm and then figuring out how that pairs back to the physical.
When you mentioned, Kevin, that most people don't really use all their muscles, what clicked for me is our species in general does not really know what our mind is capable of. I believe it said that we use 10% or 50% of our brain, not the physical. The physical is an organ, but the mind, whatever that part is that thinks and does. And Greg Braden, it's been shown that we can do stuff. We, meaning humans, we have talents and abilities that have very been touched. We are truly multidimensional. I was shown years ago, and I didn't share this because I'm tired of being called woo-woo. I'm done with it. And I was shown that we could easily live 200 years with correct environment and way of thinking and stuff like that. I was also shown that we actually have the capacity to live over 1,000 years. Now, I know people are going to do all that kind of stuff. Do I think it's true? I do. Do I think most people can do it? I don't. I think most people eat stuff I wouldn't even allow in my plate. I think most people think in ways that just don't work. And am I ever evolving myself? Yes. I'm not there. I'm in the process also where I'm different. I'm not fighting for anything anymore. I'm done with that. Okay, me. No. And my ascension is Aries, and I can really, that's no. Where I'm at, and I'm in my 80s, you may or may not, but I'm in my 80s, okay, with the birthday around the corner. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm doing, and I invite you, everyone, to this, is really look at the world you choose to live in. And what are you doing in your thoughts, in your heart, in the way you speak, in what you do, in how you live, the food you eat? How are you taking care of the earth? Are you taking care of the earth? Do you use recycled paper for toilet paper, or do you go, too much money? I don't want it. What do you do? What kind of excuses or justifications do you come up with so you can stay? That's for any of us, wherever you might be, the so-called comfort zone. When this whole thing with my sister, which is devastating to me, showed up, understand, I've been talking to her for the past couple of years, telling her this, that, and the other. She didn't want to hear me. She yelled at me. Okay, I'm not one who likes being yelled at all. And then she, with her two daughters, had a heart attack. So now it's my turn to get there and do some help. And no, I'm not going to be the perennial, that is not my role. But it is my role to participate, and I'm finding the way to do that. So on the whole of it, if we choose to live in a healthy planet, and I do, what are we doing to create it? What do you eat? Why do you eat it? What are you doing in your environment to help? I'm in Costa Rica right now. I am not on the Pacific side. I'm on the Caribbean, African coast. And I have learned, I'm honoring myself as a volunteer with this ecological organization to help do something. Because Costa Rica, Puerto Vida, and all has issues. And the people don't want to look at that because American, no, you have to if you're living here. So bit by bit, I'm looking to do my part. And if anyone thinks go through the years, you have to get weaker. No, you may change. I didn't look like this at 18. I do look like this the opposite and beyond. It's up to us, all of us. So thank you.
That reminds me, one time I heard that there was this very renowned teacher who is coming to North Carolina from California to give a teaching down in Raleigh. And so I decided I would go and listen to him. And I sat in the classroom as he taught, and he was a Buddhist teacher. And so naturally he taught about love and compassion and loving kindness and all of these things. And I was getting a little antsy in my seat, and finally had to raise my hand, and he's called on me, and he said, "What's your question?" And I said, "Teacher, for 4,000 years, people have been teaching the same thing about compassion and loving kindness and taking care of themselves and taking care of their neighbors and the like. And they've always been followed by a small group of folks while the rest of the world is running around with torches and swords. And I appreciate your teaching, but why do I think it's going to be any different now? And he looked at me and smiled and he said, irrelevant question. And whole class cracks up laughing. And I said, why is it an irrelevant question? He goes, well, you seem like a nice fella. You seem like you do good things in the world. Are you going to wake up and do anything differently tomorrow? And I said, well, no. And he goes, so it's an irrelevant question. And everybody cracked up laughing. But then after everybody calmed down, he said, wait, no, be serious now. I do have the answer for you. And I said, what is the answer? And he said, it's because you never know when the tipping point comes. And although, you know, it's been going on for years and years, and these teachings, like you mentioned, Audrey, these teachings and what most people do and how most people think, and the sadness and struggles that they have go on, they seem, but you never know when the tipping point's going to come. You never know when that last little bit of human consciousness has finally got to the point where the change happens. And so I continue to live for that point, that moment. I keep thinking it gives me the hope and the faith that to get up tomorrow and, you know, watch the sun come up.
We're part of the tipping point. We're it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're more fulfilled living your life this way. That's the beautiful thing of it is no matter what, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm fulfilled doing it. I feel like I'm making impact, Audrey, like you said. I'm growing and contributing towards something way better than myself. And it might look like I don't want to say losing for most of my life because I'm growing. And when you grow, you make mistakes. And when you make mistakes, people often think you're losing. But I will be winning for the rest of my life. And that's a very unique feeling to have. Fulfillment is the best thing in the world. It's such an amazing feeling that I remember somebody asked me about fulfillment and I didn't even know how to spell it. I said, what is this? What is this we're talking about here? And now I get to experience it every day. And I can tell that everybody in this room does also.
And when I first started painting rocks, which was like completely new to me, I never did this. And they became so cute. And because I started small, and then the biggest I can paint is if I can lift it. If I can't lift it, I don't paint it because I have to turn them. So I don't know if everyone knows, but beauty itself changes the brain patterns. Beauty itself changes one's frequency. Beauty itself upraises our consciousness. So here I am, loving doing this stuff and making, I mean, it's so cute. And this is what we do with them. And they're all different. And yes, they have crystals on them. And people want them. They are beginning to be purchased. And we'll have that move on because hello. And when you really find what's in your heart, what truly gives you pleasure, that's part of what you were born to do. And then you get good at it and better at it, connect with the people, because we are in the age of Aquarius. It isn't only Pluto that's in Aquarius. I know it's going to go back to Capricorn, come back, and then go into Aquarius for 19 years. The outer planets are all changing. Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus in the next 4 years. So consciousness on humanity, whether people know this or not, is going to be changing. Will there be some chaos? I think so. Okay. Do I like chaos? Not particularly. Is it needed? It's only needed if people go, I don't want to go, I don't want to change, I'm not going to this, I'm not going to that. And then it's going to be some chaotic. If you don't want chaos, is my suggestion, keep meditating, keep lifting your frequency, keep following where the guidance as you go. If you get a vibe, turn to the right, but I want to go to the left. But the vibe is to the right, go to the right. See what's there, and then come back to wherever it is. follow your intuition. Now, scientists, and I'm very scientific, I'm smart, okay? For those of you that need to know, I was in NASA. So I'm not just woo-woo, I'm highly intuitive and intelligent. When we follow our intuition, which scientists have proven is stronger than intellect, you're going to start feeling, seeing, and being part of miracles that we don't even know what they're going to look like, because we're going to morph into other levels. And you don't know what something is if you've not been there before. I mean, I had a near-death experience. To explain what that's like, oh my gosh, it's astounding. Truly. Okay.
So, Avid, we haven't heard your story.
Just
My
FYI, I do have to hop in 3 minutes. I just want to let everybody know I have another call at the top of the hour, so I do have to hop, but I don't want to interrupt when I leave. So I just wanted to do it in between.
no issue, no issue. So Kevin, like before you wrap, so just one advice what you would like to share with the listeners.
Oh man.
Mhm.
I would say try to find as much perspective as you can, because when you find perspective, very, very appropriate for this conversation, you realize that this whole thing is a miracle, and the simplest things often matter the most. The way you treat the person when you go through the drive-through, that matters so much more than I think we put weight into. The conversation you have with yourself is way more important than we think. And if you could aspire to one thing for the rest of your life, being a good person would be the best thing in the world. It seems super simple. It might not seem like it's going to matter much, but one person comes in contact with thousands of people throughout their lifetime. So you have the opportunity to change 1,000 people's lives by just being an example.
Yeah, Kevin, that makes me think of the first time I went off of a machine onto a barbell. And all of a sudden I couldn't do nearly as much. And they told me it's because the small muscles haven't been developed, all of the balancing and support muscles.
Yep.
And I think the metaphor here is those are the small muscles. You know, we tend to want to build up the biceps,
Yeah.
but all those little support muscles that give it meaning and give it support, you know, we tend to neglect those. And that seems to be what I'm hearing you say.
You're talking my language, Bob. I appreciate the gym references very much. The old stabilizer muscles. It was a genuine pleasure. Audrey, Bob, Vic, thank you so very much. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I'm apologetic. I'm going to miss your story, Vic, but I'll tune in to listen.
Definitely. We'll again meet for sure.
Of course. All the love, my friends. Bye.
All the love.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. So it's really, really nice. And so Bob, what one advice you would also like to share with the listeners?
Well, I think that meditation is not therapy. Meditation is not recovery. Meditation is not something that is is a program. But what it does do is it turbocharges everything else. If you're in recovery, you know, from drugs or alcohol, then meditation turbocharges your recovery program. If you're in therapy, it turbocharges your recovery program or your therapy program. What meditation does is it gives you a chance to reacquaint yourself with the creator of your thoughts. Because we are not our thoughts. We are, think about what we say in English. We even say, oh, I had a thought. Well, if I had a thought, who is it that had the thought? But we're so connected to our thoughts that we become our thoughts. I am my thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. And as we meditate, and it doesn't take very long, in the first couple of weeks of practice, we begin to see that we're not our thoughts. And then we begin to wonder, who is this that is creating these thoughts? And as we get to become more familiar with this creator of our thoughts, which if you're spiritual, I would call your soul. If you're psychological, it might be your subconscious, or, there's a number of other words. The scientists call it metacognition, thinking about your thinking. But still, there is a state of existence where you are separate from your thoughts and you can see your thoughts happening. And for me, what that means that I can be angry and be watching my anger at the same time. I can be sad and from a distance be watching my sadness. I can grieve and be watching my grieving. And so at all times, I can experience the full experience of life with all of its joys and sorrows. And at the same time, be in a place where I can observe it and contemplate it and not be taken by it or owned by it, but still be in a place where I have a say over it. I can choose to be angry. I can choose to be sad. And a lot of times I choose to be angry because, sometimes you need to be angry, especially when you're talking to the cable guy and he's not fixing your internet, you need to be angry. But at the same time, you're not angry.
Exactly.
And it's a wonderful place where you actually have a say in the matter of your life. You have choice. And so it's worth pursuing that. It's worth pursuing.
Yeah, exactly. So Audrey, for you, what one advice you would like to share?
It really comes down to something, Phil. It's love yourself. Then you have to ask, what is yourself? I spelled capital S, little s, E-L-F. Capital S is soul, S is self. Then you have to talk about, so what is that? Little s is ego, personality, self. And then one looks into what's that? Too many people, this isn't it for me, are operating from ego, personality, self, which is a third dimensional situation. That's not going to get you anywhere. It'll get you somewhere, okay? It can get you many places, actually. But to really love and really have an amazing life, whatever anyone may think or not think or understand or have any awareness of at all, it's important to really not only have an intellectual understanding of this stuff, but to actually be living it.
Mm-hmm.
And am I living it? Because people, are you living it? I'm doing my best. I mean, I have 4 courses. How many courses do I have? Yeah, I have 4 books, 3 courses, a ton of art. I keep creating more and I keep living. So no matter where you are, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're Alpha, Gen Z, Gen X, whatever, and all those that come, you've got something to contribute. So love yourself, develop yourself, find out what you love, and create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Avid, can I add one more thing?
Exactly.
Right on basically what Audrey's saying. So, at least, and I don't mean to be religious here, I just want to speak to what Jesus said about the 2 great commandments. If you recall, he said to love your God with all of your heart, your soul, and your mind. And he said to love your neighbor as yourself. And everybody kind of takes that to mean, love God and love your neighbor. But here's a deeper thought. If your mind is not clear, if you are tied up in a lot of default chatter about, I'm not good enough, I need to do this, I should have said this, I don't know if I can do that, and all of that self-doubt. If your mind is full of that, how can you give all of your mind to anything. So the
Okay.
admonition to love with your heart, your soul, and your mind really requires us to work on clearing the mind. And the other one, this is right up what Audrey was saying, love your neighbor as yourself. But what if you don't love yourself? As you were saying, Audrey, what if your mind is full of self-criticism? Then if you follow that charge, are you becoming critical of your neighbor?
Mm.
And so we do have to spend time learning to love ourselves in an authentic way. And only then are we capable of loving our neighbor in
So
an authentic way.
I'm going to share on with you. Of course, I had the course on that. When I first did the courses, someone said, "What do you start with when you're on this journey of exploration?" I said, "You have to love yourself." So
Yeah.
I have a course. Can I say this? Vivek, may I mention this? So this course is called Morph into the Magic of Self-Love. Capital S, little S, E left. And am I allowed to give a link? Yes, no? So I would say this. It's all my stuff now pretty much is Audrey. AUDRYENOW.com/morph. MORPH. This will teach you and walk you through, and it's extremely experiential, how to love on many different levels. And when you deal with the shadows, that I'm pretty comprehensive. So I agree. It was given by Moses in the Ten Commandments that Yeshua, now called Jesus, used. Love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your might, as I understand it, which means your full life force, and love the neighbor as thyself. Now, I don't refer to the Creator as male, just so we get that. It's not me.
Right.
But as I understand it, that's how that was written. And yeah, if you don't love yourself, it's not going to work.
So, Avik,
Totally.
I also, if I can also say, I've written a free ebook, which I don't know if you put it in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just if you send me an email, it's a free ebook. It's called "Is Meditation for Me? What it is, what it's not, and how to do it."
Exactly.
And that's free.
Definitely.
Okay.
I give away free samplers of all my books. Okay, I mean, we have stuff here. You have a great team here, and I'm sure Kevin has stuff. And whatever I'll come back to physical. Whatever shape anyone is in, do something physical. We have to take care of this vehicle that we have. And I can tell you, it can last way longer than most people think, and last healthfully, not like, okay, healthfully. But we have to do the maintenance. Mind, heart, body, all of it. Environment. You can't live in clutter. If you think you have to take care of that, I mean, it's life.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you, Avik, for having us.
Yes,
Great.
thank you.
Great. So thank you everyone. Thank you, Bob, Audrey, and Kevin left earlier. So for sharing your wisdom and the insights and the stories on harmonizing the mind and the body. It's really, really great. And for the listeners, I'd love to mention, like, join us next time on Healthy Waves for more enriching conversations. And do not forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes in future on to explore the new horizons in the health and the wellness. So with this, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Namaste.
Blessings.